With just a few mods, this Su-27 from FMS will truly understand the enemy. Hey there, I'm John, this is Two Brothers RC, and this is a saga of the trial and error that I went through to make the Su-27 fly like a fighter jet. This jet has been through several versions in its long history here at TBRC. The stock experience, version 1, is up there as one of the most nose-heavy airplanes that I've ever flown. Version 1.5 was so tail-heavy, balanced at 230mm, that it launched right into a vertical takeoff and crashed. Version 2 lived for several months, balanced at 210mm, until its tail heaviness caught up with it, and it too crashed for the last time. The third time's the charm though. Version 3 now balances at 190mm, and it's awesome. I've created the third and definitive version of the Su-27, no longer confined to a sad existence as a Cessna shaped like a Sukhoi. It's a f***ing fighter jet that will test your skills and setup ability and give you a nearly unparalleled flying experience. You're either gonna shit bricks when you fly it, or you're gonna have the time of your life, or if you're like me, both.
Nice.
When I say that this jet flies like a Cessna shaped like a Sukhoi, I'm referring to how positively stable or nose-heavy it is. Balanced at 140mm, the stock recommendation, this jet is basically a flying brick. Now, it's a beautiful brick for sure, but it's still a brick. Look at the difference between how 140mm and 190mm handles.
Is that insane, dude?
That's crazy.
Yeah, you see my point now, right? I'll cover the mod work needed to get your jet to fly like this and the AS3X Plus gains, priority, etc. in the mod guide chapter. Be aware, there's a lot of work ahead of you if you want to do this, so be prepared to spend at least several hours working on it. But it's time well spent in my view. Taking what was previously a very tame and honestly kind of boring plane and turning it into something that rivals the Freewing Su-35 is no small feat. The only real way to showcase truly how it flies in a bite-sized format like this is to use the tier system that I've popularized. So I'll be grading the following: ease of flying, agility, high alpha, takeoff, landing, flight time, and ease of modification. In the ease of flying tier, well, it's a no-brainer. The stock Su-27 is easier to fly if you prefer nose-heavier jets. It's not capable of any post-stall maneuvers. It will not cobra. It won't flat spin. All it can do is pitch, roll, land, and take off. That's really the extent of it, and I honestly got bored of it pretty fast because of how limited it is. The modded jet, however, is a significantly more difficult jet to fly. If you can fly it without a gyro, you're superhuman, or you're using really limited throws. I'm neither superhuman nor do I use limited throws, so you're gonna need a gyro to fly at the center of gravity. A properly configured AS3X Plus gyro will make it fly very, very well, but it can also bite when you reach its aerodynamic limits. This is a complex subject that I'm just gonna reduce down to the stock jet getting an A in ease of flying and the modded jet getting a C. It's not easy to fly the modded jet, but it's very rewarding once you start to master it. In the agility tier, the modded jet does almost everything short of a cobra spin. Cobra maneuvers are dramatic, with obvious inertia being carried through any maneuver you make it perform.
Holy crap! Did you get that?
I guess I did.
Backflips are Mihai level. If you painted this jet to look like Mihai's jet from Ace Combat, nobody would blink at the maneuvers that it's pulling off.
Cobra backflip?
Yeah, I didn't expect it to do that.
The gyro-augmented agility makes this jet a complete, utter joy to fly. It tracks beautifully in the air and it's so stable, I can just take my hands off the transmitter and trust that it's gonna fly in a straight line while it's inverted. The stock jet can't backflip, it can't cobra, it can't flat spin. It's stable by design because it's so nose heavy, but that stability comes with a huge maneuverability price. Nose heaviness and limited throws means that it may not be easy to avoid obstacles. It's kind of like flying a Sukhoi with training wheels on. The modded jet is superior in every way. S tier. Stock gets a C. Flyable, but meh. One of the actual real advantages the stock jet has over the modded version is that it's easier to slow down so you can perform a high alpha pass. The up stab trim required to fly level with the stock jet makes it draggy throughout the entire flight envelope, so getting it to fly slow isn't hard. The modded jet requires down stab trim, which lets the jet cut through the air with minimal resistance. Another consequence to the modded jet is that it will not do an inverted high alpha pass. Yes, you heard me correct. Stock will, no problem, but inverted on the modded jet is aerodynamically not possible. It will stall and it will flip upright on its own if you try. Also, because you have so much more tail authority on the modded jet, it's pretty easy to stall out the vertical stabilizers and depart from controlled flight. Through sheer luck only, I was able to save it here and get it away from the trees. The stock jet is much more difficult to get to depart, but it's also way less fun. For high alpha performance, stock gets an S, while the modded jet gets an A. Remember a moment ago when I mentioned that there's a ton of up trim needed for it to fly level in stock form? Yeah, that makes takeoff suck. The jet always launches into the air like a pissed off gorilla. The nose heaviness combined with the stab trim makes it ungainly for takeoff. The modded version with tuned gains lifts off like a graceful bird. It's beauty in motion. Nose heaviness wrecks a lot of things, including the scoring here. The stock jet gets a C, while the modded jet gets an S. It's not just takeoffs that suffer in stock form. Landings are hard to consistently pull off with this jet. The nose heaviness fights your input all the way down to the ground, while the stab trim always creates extra drag, requiring more throttle than you should actually need to land this jet. By contrast, the 190mm CG mod shifts the aerodynamics completely. Instead of requiring up trim, the stabs are now slightly down trimmed. The jet cuts through the air and floats down almost effortlessly, even with flaperons dropped. It's entirely possible to land power off with some of the most graceful landings you've ever seen a plane perform, and it does this by nature. The slower a tail-heavy plane gets, the more it pitches up. AS3X Plus tamps a lot of this behavior down so that you barely notice it at all in the sky, but you will notice your landings improving significantly with the CG mod. Stock gets a C, while the CG mod gets an S. Oh, and by the way, the main reason that most people use AS3X Plus is for turbulence dampening. That's even more effective with the CG mod, giving the gyro plenty of tail authority to keep the plane level even in strong, gusty winds like this. If you want to hate gyros, hate them all you want, but just keep in mind, the plane a gyro saves could be yours. Another reason why this mod kicks ass is that the neutral to slightly down stab trim also improves your flight time overall. The stock Su-27's nose heaviness requires up trim that creates a ton of drag all the time. No matter what you do, it's going to have shorter flights and your batteries are going to be pissed off about it, especially in summer. The short flight times on this stock jet are almost legendary in the RC community. You can expect an average of 3 minutes and 30 seconds at best. While yes, it is true that a twin 70 like this beast will piss off your packs in general, it'll anger them way less when you get the stab trim cleaned up by shifting the center of gravity backward. The jet is faster, it's less draggy, and you gain about a minute of flight time to average around 4 minutes and 30 seconds. S tier for the mod, B tier for the stock jet. In terms of ease of modification, well, let's just go ahead and skip that and get right to the point and cover the mods that we need to do to make the Su-27 really perform. Step 1. Upgrade the ball links on the stabilators and flaperons to freewing ball links and buckle heads. They're much stronger than the stock setup and you will thank me later, trust me on this. If you need help on how to do it, join up on the TBRC Discord server and ask for help in the Tech and Setup channel. Step 2. You need AGF RC B13 DLM servos for the stabilators. Those are linked below in the description. You also need the metal servo arms linked below as well from Hitech, which will fit on the servos and extend the throw. Then you need a few drops of medium CA on the push rod where it meets the arm, so that it completely eliminates any slop between the push rod and the control arm. Step 3. Cut out the foam all the way back to the plastic on the stabilizing fins as you see here so that the servo arms can move unrestricted. Step 4. If you left the weight in the tail while assembling the jet, find it with magnets and cut it out, then put the foam back. It's 114 grams by itself, and this jet needs 0 tail weight. Any weight that you can shift forward to the front of the jet will be critical later on. Step 5. Move the receiver as far forward as it can go. The further, the better. Every bit of weight up front matters. Use servo lead extensions to make it work if you have to. Step 6. Remove the air brake servo and cut out all of the foam under the turtle deck so that you can slam a pack up to the front. Bundle the cables together using zip ties and cut away as much foam as you can. Cut a channel for the wires to fit into while you're placing the battery so it'll fit, and cut enough foam away to fit the battery that you're going to use. The space that I cut fits SMC 5900 HV batteries really well. It's going to take you trial and error to figure this out, so don't be afraid to keep working at it. Step 7. Cut the plastic tip of the nose cone off using a really sharp hobby knife, then embed enough weight in the foam to get the entire nose cone to weigh 43 grams. A few of these wheel weights linked in the description below will do it. Epoxy them in place, glue the tip back on, and put the nose cone back on the jet. Then you're good to go. After you've completed all of those steps, step 8 is to get the battery shoved up against the wooden tray as far forward as it can physically sit. You'll want the battery's leads to be oriented vertically so that the pack sits flush against the wood tray. This is the most annoying part to me. Afterward, flying the jet is so much fun that you'll probably forget how annoying it is to put the battery in to begin with. But wait, there's more! You also need the gyro gains for AS3X Plus because believe me, it's almost unflyable otherwise, and I got you here. 1x gain, 20 roll, 95 pitch, 35 yaw, 100 priority on all axes, 50 roll lock rate, default pitch and yaw, default release rates. You also need 150 travel on all surfaces programmed into your radio, along with a hefty amount of expo. I'm flying around 50% here, but you may wish to use 70%, even with the high priority values helping keep the jet pitch controlled. That about covers everything I did to make this jet perform like a Sukhoi. With the advent of AS3X Plus and some more refinement in the mods that I did, I have this thing flying beautifully. If you need help with the mods, hop on Discord and chat with us directly. My setup files are also located on Discord for Spectrum users too. If you appreciate these kinds of in-depth, long-term reviews, consider hitting that super thanks button on YouTube to let us know. Or, if you like some of the merch that we sell in the description below, consider picking up a t-shirt for you, or a sticker for your planes or transmitter case. You can also donate directly to the cause in the merch shop when you pick something up, too. This will probably be the last follow-up review I'm going to make for this jet. 2 years later, I don't think I'm going to be able to top it. Here's hoping FMS comes out with another Sukhoi. Let's see an Su-27 with thrust vectoring and canards. Tune in next week for a look at how the Aero's Edge 540 handles as a 3D trainer, and an upcoming look into pitting the E-flite Extra 330 SC against the Edge in a tier matchup. See you guys next time.